Hello and welcome to the Scientific Adventures of Beardman. Today we're going to be taking a look at a concept builder on physicsclassroom.com titled If This, Then That, Color Subtraction. This is located under the topic Light and Color. Before we go on, there are a couple of more in-depth videos I'm going to link up here, so take a look at any one of these if that pertains to what you need to know about light. The first one's probably the most relevant to this concept builder. Moving on, I just want to review really quickly. If blue light hits our eye, it triggers the blue cone and we see blue. If the green light hits our eye, it only triggers the green cone in our simplification here. That means that we'll see green light. Then if only red light is shining, it will only trigger the red cone, once again simplified. And so therefore we see red light. If we trigger the green and red cones, we will see yellow. That's a secondary color. Then blue and green get triggered, we see cyan, another secondary color, and blue and red get triggered, we see magenta, the third secondary color. Blue, green, and red being the primary colors. Finally, if all three cones get triggered, then we see white light, and if nothing gets triggered, we see black. And those are the keys to this concept builder. Just want to review what happens when light strikes a surface. In this concept builder, light will be striking shirts. One thing that could happen is the light could be absorbed. We may find out that red or green or blue light is absorbed by a particular shirt. We could see that a color of light is reflected. Once again, red, green, or blue might be reflected, or more than one. Refraction we won't deal with in this concept builder. It's when light bends going from one medium to another. And then just a reminder, different shirts, in other words, different surfaces, will absorb different wavelengths of light. All right, straight on into the apprentice level. First of all, I want you to notice that we are dealing with the same shirt in each picture. We have the first shirt, then the same shirt in the second picture, and this shirt, meaning the same one in the last picture. So if we find out it reflects or absorbs certain colors of light, that will apply to all the pictures. So first, let's take a look at our first one. In the apprentice level, we see that all of the colors that we get on the left here that we know about are primary colors of light. So let's talk about what happens when blue light hits a blue shirt. So if blue light is what's being emitted, we see that gets here. And since the shirt appears blue to us, that means that light is reflected. In the second shirt here, we see green light is hitting the shirt. But since we do not see green, we know that means that it is absorbed. Finally, in our cyan light here, we know that there is green light hitting the shirt because that's what cyan light is made up of, green and blue. So we also have blue light hitting the shirt. We know that this shirt reflects blue, so we know the blue is going to be reflected. And we know that the green light is absorbed. We know that from this second picture. So that means when the green and blue light hit, the green is absorbed, the blue is reflected. Therefore, this will be seen as a blue shirt because that is the light coming towards our eyes. All right, let's move on to the master level. So in the master level, we see that the difference here is that we will now sometimes have secondary colors of light over in our first two that are giving us the information. So we see the cyan here, and that's the difference. The cyan light will shine both green and blue light on the shirt. Since the shirt appears blue, that tells us that the blue is being reflected. And since we don't see green or we don't see cyan, we don't see both green and blue, we only see blue, that means that the green light from that flashlight is being absorbed. As we move over to the second thing we know over here, we know that red light is hitting the shirt. We also know that red light is being reflected. So as we look at our final one, we have to figure out, we know there is red light hitting the shirt, there is blue light hitting the shirt, and there is green light hitting the shirt. If you didn't know why we know that, because white light contains all three of the primary colors. It will trigger all three cones in our eye. So then if we look back, we can see that this shirt, because remember once again, this is the same shirt in every picture, this shirt has molecules in it that absorb green. So we know the green is going to be absorbed. We also can see that the blue is being reflected, so there's nothing here that's going to absorb blue. so the blue will be reflected. And because we can see in this second picture that the red is reflected, we know there's nothing absorbing the red, so the red will also be reflected. So then we have to ask ourselves, if we're over here looking at these reflected rays of light, we will see red and blue. And by now, hopefully you know that when you see red and blue, that means you're seeing magenta. So the answer to this one would be magenta, and that's how you would figure it out. All right, moving on from the master level to the wizard level. So you'll notice now that we can see that we have all three flashlights showing secondary colors of light. That can get a little trickier, so let's go through how this would work. Well, magenta we know is red light and blue light. Okay, since we can see blue, that means blue is being reflected. And since we don't see magenta or red, that means that the red light is being absorbed. The cyan light here in the middle will have blue light heading towards the shirt, and it will have green light heading towards the shirt because cyan is blue and green. Since the shirt looks cyan, that means that both of these colors are going to be reflected. So this shirt must not absorb blue, it must reflect it, and it must also not absorb green and reflect it. Finally, we have yellow light incident on our mystery shirt. What's going to happen when we have green light, which is part of yellow, and we have red light incident on the shirt? Well, we know from our first picture here that red light is absorbed. So this light will be absorbed. We know from our second picture here that green light is reflected, so green is going to be reflected. So if yellow light, red and green, come in here, the red gets absorbed, only the green is coming off, so we would see a green shirt. So that's the thought process. You've got all the puzzle pieces. Work on putting them together for each of these questions you see in this concept builder. And we'll catch you the next time on the scientific adventures of Beardman. Have fun exploring, thinking, and keep those beards bushy.